3.5 years. That was how long Astrovault had been eating people. 3.5 years of blood, factions, betrayals, its bounty hunts and challenge massacres. 3.5 years since 400 contestants entered Eclipse. Now only 22 remained, and the city felt haunted because of it. The lower districts were quieter now. Whole apartment blocks sat abandoned where factions had once ruled. Empty markets flickered beneath broken neon signs while old challenge arenas rusted beneath constant rain. The weak had died long ago. The loud had died long ago. Only monsters remained now. And at the very top of the board, Kenny Rain stood above all of them. The giant projection screens across Astrovault glowed through the night. Remaining contestants, 22 out of 400. Current kill leader, Kenny Rain, 111 kills level 16. Second highest historical kill. Count Lord Rain, 211 kills. Public favor, legendary. Faction influence, dominant. Below Kenny's statistics, the rest of the Eclipse Reapers appeared. Lyra Voss, 31 kills Pines Var. 24 kills Rex Calder. 19 kills Jax Calder. 17 kills. Together, the Reapers alone accounted for over 200 kills across the games. The city whispered about them constantly now. Not like contestants, like natural disasters. Inside Lux Meridian Tower, the atmosphere had changed too. The penthouse no longer felt like a temporary headquarters. It felt lived in. The couches were worn now, weapons rested openly across tables, faction maps covered walls. The twins had somehow installed music systems into rooms nobody asked them to touch. And tonight, nobody felt relaxed. Rain hammered softly against the shield dome above the rooftop garden while the group sat around the living area watching the announcement countdown tick lower across the main screen. 10 minutes until challenge reveal. Pines sat forward, nervously spinning a combat knife between his fingers. I hate the second-last challenges. Lyra glanced toward him. You hated every challenge. Yes, but this time I am experienced at hating them. Rex leaned against the kitchen counter, cleaning one of his pistols. Think they finally sent 50 people at Kenny again? Jax grinned. I miss those days. Kenny stood near the giant city windows, silently watching Astrovault below. His floating daggers drifted lazily around him now almost constantly. Sometimes they moved without him visibly commanding them at all. That unsettled people, even allies. The AI voice echoed softly through the penthouse. Attention remaining contestants. The second final challenge announcement will begin in 60 seconds. Nobody spoke after that. The countdown hit 0. Every screen in the penthouse activated simultaneously. The eclipse symbol appeared, a black sun swallowing gold light. Then the announcer smiled across the city. Congratulations, survivors. The voice almost sounded genuine now. After 3.5 years, only 22 contestants remain alive. Astrovault quieted beneath the broadcast. This challenge has been requested more than any other event in Eclipse history. Pines immediately frowned. That sounds horrific. The announcer continued smiling. The viewers have donated record numbers for tonight's entertainment. The screen shifted. A massive steel wheel slowly rose from beneath Arena Prime. The entire structure towered over the stadium like a machine built for executions. Sections of the wheel displayed the surviving factions: Eclipse Reapers, Iron Dogs, the Crownless Hollow Saints, the Ash Marauders. Lyra slowly stood up. No. Jax blinked. What? But Kenny already understood. The announcer spread her arms dramatically. Tonight, every surviving faction must sacrifice itself. The penthouse went silent. Pines stared at the screen. What? The wheel began spinning slowly. The wheel will select one faction at a time. A second smaller wheel rose beside it. And then, the smaller wheel displayed names, faction member names. 2 arrows pointed inward from opposite sides. Kenny's expression darkened instantly. No. The announcer smiled wider. 2 members will be selected. The city held its breath. The selected contestants must fight to the death. Silence, cold silence. The conditions are simple. The announcer's voice sharpened. If either contestant refuses. A pause. Both die. Jack stopped smiling. For the first time since Kenny met the twins, actually stopped smiling. The announcer raised one hand. And now, the giant faction wheel spun violently. The entire arena screamed beneath it. Pines stood slowly. Please don't land on us. The wheel slowed. Closer, closer, then stopped. Eclipse Reapers, Nobody inside the penthouse moved. The smaller wheel activated immediately. 5 names appeared. Kenny, Lyra Pines, Rex Jax. The arrows spun. Faster, faster. The twins stared at the screen silently now. Then the wheel stopped. Rex called her. Jax called her. The room died. Not emotionally. Physically. Like all sound had been ripped out of it. Pines whispered first. No. Lyra looked genuinely horrified. Jax stared at the screen like it was broken. Rex slowly looked toward his brother. Neither spoke. The announcer's voice echoed calmly through the penthouse. Rex called her and Jax called her. Please report to Arena Prime immediately. The AI added one final sentence. Failure to comply will result in termination collars activating automatically. The twins still did not move. Then Jax laughed weakly. A broken sound. That is, statistically rude. Nobody answered. Kenny stepped forward. We leave. Arena Prime looked different now. Not like a challenge arena, like an execution theater. 22 remaining contestants stood around the outer observation platforms while millions watched across human space. At the center of the arena, a circular combat platform slowly rose upward beneath white lights. Rex and Jax stood opposite each other on it. Neither had drawn weapons yet. The announcer spoke gently now, as requested by the viewers. Tonight we discover which bonds survive Eclipse. Pines looked sick. Lyra crossed her arms tightly, trying not to shake. Kenny stood perfectly still near the front railing. The countdown appeared overhead. 5 minutes until combat begins. Rex looked across the platform. Brother. Jax rubbed the back of his neck. This is a weird day, honestly. A few people in the crowd actually laughed. That somehow made it worse. Rex looked around the arena slowly. They really want us to do this. Jax nodded once. They'll kill us both otherwise. Silence. Then Rex smiled weakly. Mum is going to be furious. That finally broke Jax. He looked down, laughing once before suddenly covering his face, not because he was scared, because he was trying not to cry. The arena quieted around them. Rex took a slow breath. We always knew it could end like this. Jax shook his head immediately. No, Jax, no. His voice cracked hard enough that even the audience stopped making noise. We were supposed to make it to the end together. Rex looked away. The countdown hit 1 minute. Weapons materialized from the arena floor. Twin combat blades. The crowd roared. Jax looked physically sick now. Rex picked up one blade slowly, then tossed the second toward his brother. Neither attacked. 30 seconds. Pines suddenly shouted from the railing, "Do not give them a show." Arena security immediately aimed weapons toward him, but he did not care. Lyra grabbed his arm tightly. Jax caught the sword awkwardly. The countdown reached 10 seconds. Rex looked across the platform, then quietly said, "You know I love you, right?" Jax broke completely. Tears finally hit the arena floor. "I know." The horn sounded. Neither moved. The collars around their necks immediately sparked warning lights. The arena AI spoke coldly. Combat required. Rex raised his sword first, not aggressively, reluctantly. Jax mirrored him, shaking violently now. Then finally, they fought, not like enemies, like brothers trying desperately not to kill each other. The crowd screamed anyway. The audience loved it. That was the worst part. The viewers watching across human space donated money live during the fight. Comment feeds exploded across giant screens surrounding the arena. Some begged them to survive. Others demanded blood. Eclipse had revealed humanity again, and humanity looked ugly. The twins traded strikes slowly at first, neither aiming to kill, both crying openly now. Rex eventually screamed while attacking. "Stop holding back." Jax blocked desperately. "I can't." Their blades clashed again. Again. The collars sparked brighter warning lights. The AI understood they were delaying. Rex suddenly tackled Jax hard onto the platform. The crowd roared violently, but Rex leaned close instead of striking. "You have to kill me." Jax shook his head frantically. "No, you have to. No." Rex grabbed his brother's shoulder hard. "Jax." The younger twin froze. Rex's voice cracked completely now. "You survive better than me." Jax stared at him, horrified. "You talk better. People trust you more. Stop talking. You survive." Tears hit the platform beneath both of them. The collars began charging fully now. 30 seconds until execution. Rex smiled weakly through tears. "Mum likes you more anyway." Jax made a horrible sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob, Then Rex suddenly shoved the blade forward himself, straight into his own chest. The arena went silent. Jax froze completely. Rex coughed blood immediately. Sorry. Jax grabbed him instantly, trying to stop the bleeding despite knowing it was pointless. No. Rex smiled faintly. You better survive this stupid place. Then the light left his eyes. The arena remained silent for nearly 5 whole seconds afterward. Even the viewers did not know how to react. Jax stayed kneeling beside his brother's body, shaking uncontrollably, while arena drones descended around them. Above the city, the board updated. Remaining contestants, 21 out of 400. Current kill leader, Kenny Rain, 111 kills. The announcer spoke softly now. Rex Calder has been eliminated. Then, immediately, the next faction will now begin selection. The arena erupted into screams again. Another faction wheel spin. Another pair selected. Another tragedy. The Hollow Saints selected 2 lovers. One strangled the other while praying. The Iron Dogs selected former military brothers. One shot the other, crying the entire time. The Crownless selected a mother and daughter duo who had hidden their relationship from the viewers for years. The audience donated record numbers during that fight. By the end of the challenge, only 17 contestants remained alive. But nobody celebrated afterwards, not even the crowd. The surviving contestants looked hollow now, broken differently. The games had finally succeeded in proving something terrifying. Not that people could kill each other, that people would watch it willingly. Hours later, back inside Lux Meridian Tower, nobody touched the food. Nobody spoke much. Jax sat alone near the giant city windows, still wearing blood across his jacket. Rex's blood. Pines eventually sat beside him quietly. No jokes this time, no sarcasm, just silence. Lyra stood near the kitchen pretending to clean equipment because she did not know what else to do. Kenny finally walked over. Jax did not look up. For several seconds nobody spoke. Then Jax whispered, "He knew before I did." Kenny remained silent. He knew he was going to lose. The room stayed quiet except for distant rain against the tower windows. Jax finally looked upward slightly. He shoved the sword himself. Kenny nodded once, not denying it. Jax laughed weakly through tears. Idiot. Pines looked away immediately. Because hearing Jax call his brother that exactly the same way he always had somehow hurt more than the fight itself. Jax wiped his face roughly, then quietly asked, "What do I do now?" Nobody had an answer. Outside the tower, Astrovault continued glowing beneath artificial eclipse skies. But inside Lux Meridian Tower, one room remained permanently empty. Time rolls on. 4 years. That was how long the Eclipse Games lasted. 4 years of blood. 4 years of factions. 4 years of betrayals broadcast across human space like entertainment. And now, only 8 contestants remained alive. The city of Astrovault no longer resembled the place Kenny Rain entered years ago. Entire districts sat abandoned now. The lower sectors had become graveyards filled with rusted signs and shattered challenge arenas, while the upper districts remained heavily fortified by the few surviving powers left standing. The giant projection screens across the city glowed constantly beneath artificial eclipse skies. Remaining contestants, 8 out of 400. Current kill leader, Kenny Rain. 148 kills, level 24. Second highest historical kill, count, Lord Rain. 211 kills. Public favor, mythic. Faction, influence, absolute. Below Kenny's statistics, the final surviving Eclipse Reapers appeared. Kenny Rain, 148 kills, Lyra Voss. 44 kills, Pines Var. 37 kills, Jax Calder. 29 kills. The remaining rival faction stood beneath them. The Iron Dogs. 4 survivors. All former military elites heavily modified through combat augmentations and challenge rewards. The city whispered constantly now, not about who would win, about how many buildings would survive the finale. Inside Lux Meridian Tower, silence had become normal. Not peaceful silence, grieving silence. Jax barely laughed anymore. That was the worst part. The loudest man in the tower had become quiet after Rex died. He still fought, still trained, still followed Kenny, but some part of him never returned from Arena Prime. The others noticed it constantly, especially Kenny. Tonight, the 4 remaining Reapers stood together inside the tactical room watching the final challenge countdown tick lower across the wall. 5 minutes. Pines leaned against the table, checking ammunition. Statistically speaking. Lyra sighed immediately. No, we should not still be alive. Jax almost smiled slightly. Almost. Kenny stood near the giant windows overlooking Astrovault one final time. The city that raised them, tested them, destroyed them. The AI voice echoed softly through the tower. Attention remaining contestants. The city quieted beneath it. The final challenge will now begin. Every screen in Astrovault activated simultaneously. The announcer appeared, smiling wider than ever before. Survivors. A pause for the final event. There will be no tricks. Nobody believed her. There will be no puzzles, no wheels, no sacrifice games. The screen shifted. A massive ruined district appeared beyond the city walls itself. Collapsed skyscrapers, burning industrial sectors, open combat fields, destroyed transit systems. The battlefield looked like a war zone. One final challenge remains. The announcer spread her arms dramatically. Team deathmatch. The city erupted. Pines slowly nodded. Okay, that actually sounds honest for once. Lyra checked her weapons calmly. That usually means it gets worse. The announcer continued. One faction survives. The final challenge gates activated, and Astrovault prepared to witness its ending. The battlefield stretched for kilometers. Artificial storm clouds rolled overhead while lightning illuminated broken towers and ruined highways beneath them. Both factions entered from opposite sides of the combat zone. The Eclipse Reapers advanced through the western sector. Black armor, advanced upgrades, weapons worth fortunes. Kenny walked at the center while his floating daggers drifted around him like silent predators. At level 24, the blades barely behaved like weapons anymore. They phased through walls constantly now, tracked targets independently, could split apart into fragment blades temporarily before reforming. People no longer called them ghost teeth. The city now called them the Eclipse Fangs. Ahead of them, the iron dogs emerged through smoke and burning debris. The surviving four looked terrifying. Heavy military augmentations covered most of their bodies now. Reinforced skeletal plating, combat stim injectors, thermal vision systems, integrated rail weapons. Years inside Eclipse had transformed everyone into monsters. The final horn sounded, and the battlefield exploded instantly. Railgun fire tore through ruined buildings while explosive rounds shattered concrete around both factions. Lyra moved first. She launched upward through collapsed structures using magnetic traversal gear before dropping onto one Iron Dog sniper from above. Her hook blade pierced directly through the man's visor. Dead instantly. Pines wrapped his electrified chain around another fighter's weapon arm and ripped the man off a rooftop entirely. The body vanished below into burning wreckage. Jax fought violently, almost recklessly. Not careless, just fearless now. Like survival itself had stopped mattering to him months ago. Kenny advanced directly through the center battlefield while his daggers tore through debris and enemy fire alike. One phased through an armored transport before rematerializing through an Iron Dog fighter's chest. Another curved around suppressive fire before severing a railgun barrel clean off. The battlefield became chaos. Lightning flashed constantly overhead, while ruined buildings collapsed around them under heavy weapons fire. The Iron Dogs fought like machines. The Reapers fought like survivors. That difference mattered. Halfway through the battle, only 2 Iron Dogs remained alive. One heavily armored brute carrying a shoulder-mounted rail cannon. And their leader, Commander Valak, level 23, the highest surviving contestant besides Kenny himself. The battlefield burned around them while the remaining fighters repositioned through smoke and shattered steel. Pines dropped beside Kenny, breathing heavily. Please tell me your overpowered wizard knives have a plan. Kenny watched the rail cannon charging across the battlefield. Yes. Jax stood nearby, checking blood across his combat blade. Some his, most not. Lyra dropped beside them from overhead ruins. Valak is pushing center lane. Kenny nodded once, then we finish it. The final battle happened fast. Too fast. Valak charged directly through the center sector, while the surviving Iron Dog opened suppressive fire behind him. Kenny's daggers shot forward instantly. Valak blocked one, dodged another. The surviving Iron Dog raised the rail cannon toward Kenny. Everything slowed. Pines saw it first, then Lyra, then Jax. The cannon fired. A beam of blue-white energy ripped through the battlefield directly toward Kenny's chest. Kenny would have survived. Probably. His armor could phase partially now during combat reactions. His daggers already moved to intercept, but Jax moved first. Not because he had to, because somewhere deep down. Part of him had stopped wanting to survive after Rex died. Jax stepped directly in front of Kenny. The rail cannon struck him center mass. The impact vaporized armor instantly. Time stopped. Jax staggered backward once, then collapsed. The battlefield went silent. Pines screamed first, not words, just rage. His electrified chain exploded outward, wrapping around the remaining iron dog before ripping the man completely off his feet. Lyra killed him before he even hit the ground. Meanwhile, Kenny moved, not like a human anymore. The daggers vanished completely. Valak barely had time to react before both blades phased directly through his armor from opposite sides. One through the throat, one through the chest. The Iron Dog leader collapsed instantly. Challenge complete. Victory. Eclipse Reapers. The battlefield alarms echoed across the ruined city, but Kenny ignored them completely. He was already kneeling beside Jax. Blood covered the ruined armor across the younger twin's chest. Too much blood. Jax coughed weakly. Hey. Pines dropped beside him immediately. No. Lyra looked horrified. Jax smiled faintly at them. That cannon looked pretty big, honestly. Pines grabbed his arm hard. You idiot. Jax laughed weakly through blood. Yeah. Kenny stared at him silently. Jax slowly looked toward him. You would have survived. Kenny did not answer. Probably. The rain began falling harder around them. Jax looked upward toward the storm clouds, then quietly admitted, I didn't know how to do this without him anymore. Nobody spoke, because they understood. Jax looked toward the burning battlefield. He would have hated how quiet I got. Pines looked away immediately. Lyra covered her mouth, trying not to cry. Jax slowly looked back toward Kenny. You build something good with that planet, all right? Kenny finally spoke. You should see it yourself. Jax smiled sadly. Nah. His breathing weakened. That was always Rex's dream more than mine. A pause, then softly, tell Mom I complained less near the end. Pines broke completely, laughing and crying at the same time. Jax smiled one final time. Then the light left his eyes. Silence consumed the battlefield. Rain fell across ruined steel and broken concrete while the remaining 3 Reapers knelt beside him. Then suddenly, a golden system notification appeared across the sky itself. Ancient victory clause detected. Highest kill count. Contestant may be declared sole winner if remaining allied contestants accept forfeiture. Eligible contestant, Kenny Rain. Pines slowly looked upward. No way. Lyra wiped tears from her face. The old loophole. Kenny looked toward them. Pines nodded slowly. That is how your father and mine survived together. The city itself seemed shocked. The ancient Eclipse rule had not activated in decades, because almost nobody survived long enough while remaining loyal to one another. The system continued. Remaining allied contestants must accept voluntarily. Lyra immediately stepped forward. I accept. Pines nodded beside her. So do I. The golden notification flashed brighter. Winner confirmed. Kenny Rain. The city erupted. Astrovault screamed beneath the announcement. Fireworks exploded across the skyline while every projection screen in human space activated simultaneously. The announcer herself appeared almost emotional. After 4 years, a pause. We have our winner. The screens shifted. A massive, untouched world appeared beneath twin suns. Blue oceans, endless forests, mountain ranges stretching beyond clouds. Prize world granted. Eidolon reach. Population capacity. Unlimited colonial expansion. Additional reward. Fortune transfer authorized. Total prize credits, 940 billion imperial credits. Pines stared upward blankly. Brother. Lyra laughed weakly through tears. We are accidentally rich. But Kenny barely looked at the money. He stared at the planet, at the untouched wilderness waiting beneath those twin suns, his world, his home. Finally, the announcer's voice echoed across the battlefield. Kenny Rain, final winner of the 10th Eclipse Games. The city roared his name, but Kenny turned toward Pines and Lyra instead. Rain slid across his armor while Jax and Rex were both gone now. I have something big planned. Pines looked at him carefully. What kind of big? Kenny glanced back toward the image of the planet, the kind that changes things. Lyra studied him silently. Then Kenny looked at both of them. I want you there with me. Silence. Then Pines laughed once. Mate, after 4 years of this hell, he wiped rain from his face. I'm absolutely following you into whatever terrible idea comes next. Lyra smiled softly. You really had to ask? For the first time in years. Kenny almost smiled. Above them, the city of Astrovault celebrated its new champion beneath artificial eclipse skies. But somewhere far beyond the lights and crowds, a new future had already begun moving toward them.